This is how I went from earning £12,000 a year in 2004 to £14,000 a deal in 2024, and how you can do what I did in 20 years in 20 months. Back in 2004, at the age of 17, halfway through my A-levels, I bumped into an old school friend who was an estate agent, and he said, "You need to talk to my boss." So I did, and the rest, as they say, is history. I was fortunate because I'd come out of school with very few GCSEs, but I'd been given a fantastic opportunity. That was day one. Back in 2004, earning £12,000 a year as a junior negotiator. In the first few months, I really immersed myself. My first boss was a fantastic leader, brilliant with people, and I learned so much. As time went on, I moved through the ranks of a state agency and ended up as a branch manager at a market leading firm. Then in 2013, I was approached by a new player in the marketplace, entering the online space to really turn the market upside down. You will know them as Purplebricks. I was one of the first 25 or 30 agents to join that business. The business launched early 2014, and I was fortunate to put myself in a position that by the end of 2014, I was able to invoice £13,000 in 1 month. But that came with its price. That equated to a large volume of business, over 40 listings in 1 month, and a real toll on my personal work-life balance, working all the hours, and on reflection, actually, was it worth it? Then fast forward, I left Purplebricks and I created my own independent self-employed brokerage, The Avenue. And that is what led me to the point where I earned £14,000 in one deal in 2024. So let's get into the details. How did I get to £14,000 per deal in 2024? First off, you need to get clear on who is your ideal client avatar. Okay, so think about it, £14,000 a deal. You can't be focusing on first-time seller type properties. So get clear. Who is the client? What do they look like? Where do they hang out? How do you get in front of them? Then you need to think about how you position yourself in that marketplace. And what I mean by positioning is, how are you going to market yourself? How do you show up? Remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything in the eyes of your audience. Next up, you need to think about how you position yourself in terms of your offering. What are your unique selling points? Why should people proactively look to work with you? What can you bring that is going to make you a better alternative than anybody else? And then finally, you need to think about how the journey looks from the point they interact with you right through to the conclusion. So we've got the avatar, we've got positioning, we've got what your unique selling points are, then we've got to look at the journey. The thing we're going to focus on today is your positioning. So in terms of positioning, I believe there are 4 core areas that you need to look at. Social media is the first one. Think about coming back to your ideal client avatar. Where do they hang out? Now let's just put this into context. If they are high-flying executives, running businesses, business owners, those types, then are they more likely to be on a platform like LinkedIn or Facebook than they are Instagram or TikTok? Or even, are they likely to be somewhere like YouTube? Then you've got to think about direct mail. This is the easiest way to segment your market. If you send direct mail content to people that live in council tax bands F, G and H, you are going to be hitting the higher value homeowners in your marketplace. You also then need to think about the type of copy, short form, long form, how are you going to interact? Our research and our delivery and the way in which I got to the place that I did was through using long form content. Quick side note, quick story. Orchard View is a property that I recently completed on, which paid me just over £14,000 in a deal. The clients on that particular property saw me everywhere. Their cousin had used me to sell their property. They saw the Facebook video that we'd placed out for the property, which was highly edited, big production, cinematic, presenter-led, and he saw that and he said to me when I met him, when I saw that video, I knew that when I sold my house, who needed to sell the house for me? But on top of that, We had also sent him and his wife some direct mail content. Bearing in mind, we didn't know that he'd seen the video on social media. Then our long form piece of direct mail content landed on his doorstep, and at that point he picked up the phone. I then went and saw him. Fast forward a year, he then contacted me to say, James, we're ready to sell. So then you've got to think about what happens in terms of the journey. What happens between the point you meet them and the point that they're ready to sell? They may not be ready straight away. So we had a process in place to keep in touch with that client, to keep them updated with what was going on in the marketplace. Because remember, a lot of clients will start investigating the market, start putting the feelers out up to a year ahead of being ready to actually move. We then popped the property on the market, we went through the process. We were the only agent, from a positioning point of view, we were the only agent that that client had interacted with, and that was the reason why he then chose to press ahead. So direct mail was combined with social media. The third way in which you could be interacting with your marketplace is through networking events. Now, I'm not talking about necessarily just going to events like BNI and what have you. You could also be looking at the way in which you interact with your community. Do you enjoy playing golf? Do you have children, so therefore could you get involved with the PTA? Do you have pets and therefore you're a part of a community of dog owners? There's lots of ways that networking can be bracketed. It's not just about BNI and breakfast meetings. And then finally, getting yourself in front of your audience. This for me is about the low-hanging fruit. So you could be doing something as simple as getting out into your community and knocking on the doors of the properties that you would like to represent. My belief is if that you see someone is on the market and they're struggling to sell and you have a way to help them get them where they want to go, then you have a duty of care, a right to put yourself in front of them to offer the solution. If you would like to take a deeper dive into each of the frameworks that I followed in order to earn £14,000 a deal, make sure you subscribe.